the next concept in Ayurveda to explore in terms of Ayurvedic anatomy are the Dhatus. Dhatu means tissue, and there are 7 layers of tissue that comprises our entire body or bioorganism. These layers of tissues are consecutive or chronological in the sense of that one is the base layer, and that will contribute or be the foundation of building the next, which is then also contributing to building the next. And it takes 5 days from eating the food today, whatever you're eating, that will nourish the first layer of tissue, that is rasa dhatu, which is the lymph and the plasma, basically responsible for our nutrition. So the food we're eating today is going to nourish rasa dhatu and build rasa dhatu, the lymph and the plasma, over the next 5 days via the nutrition from our stomach, from the food going to the bloodstream, because lymph and plasma is both in our blood, right? And 5 days after, from rasa dhatu, rakta dhatu is being built, and these are the red blood cells in our bloodstream, again, that are responsible for oxygenation. 5 days from there, any excess nutrition left over from nourishing rakta dhatu will build mamsa dhatu, and mamsa dhatu is our muscle tissue that is responsible for plastering the skeleton, allowing movement, forming organs, and so forth. That is all the muscles, right? We have certain organs that are muscles within itself, like our diaphragm muscle, or our lungs is made of so many muscles to contract and expand, right? To allow breathing. Our heart is an organ, but it's a muscle. So you can see how all those Ayurvedic tissue systems are very integrative, and they literally cover every aspect of our being and our bioorganism. So to recap, the first layer is rasa dhatu, lymph and plasma. The second layer, built after that, 5 days after again, is rakta, our red blood cells. Following is mamsa, our muscle tissue. Following to that, our fourth layer is meda dhatu. That is our fat tissue that is responsible for lubrication, protection, storage, temperature regulation, insulation, and so forth. From there, the fifth layer is asti dhatu, and asti is our bone tissue, right? So that's responsible for structure, support, brain protection, and so forth. 5 days from there, leading into the sixth layer, is maja dhatu, and maja is our marrow, bone marrow, and our nervous system. So that is governing our memory, it's conveying signals, filling our bones for durability, and so forth. And then the last and final tissue, 5 days after that, brings it up to 35 days until we nourish the last and seventh tissue. And that is, in males, shukra dhatu, or in females, atava dhatu. And both of these are the respective reproductive system of either male shukra or female atava. So that is our reproductive tissue that literally encompasses everything that has to do with your reproduction, right? So it's not just the womb or the ovaries or the penis or the vagina, but the entire system that is involved in reproduction itself. Again, remember how I just kind of stack them all on top of each other, because one builds the other, the next, the next, the next, the next, the next, the next. 5 days in between each, which means that the food I eat today will show up in the reproductive system, which is the seventh layer, 35 days later. For women, that means if you this month have an intense period of certain symptoms with your bleed coming, it's not from what you ate yesterday or what you did yesterday, it's from what you did a month ago, 35 days ago, which is pretty amazing. And this also means that your reproductive system, I like to say, is merely the messenger of, meaning that if you have any symptoms going on up here in your reproductive layer, male or female, it is an indication, because this layer is being nourished by all the other layers that come before it, that there is an imbalance in one or all of the preceding layers that are being developed and built and nourished before the reproductive system. right? Or say there's an imbalance in your bone tissue, an dhatu, which is the fifth layer, right? So say you have osteoporosis or cracking joints or anything like that, or joint inflammation. That means that there's not just a problem in this layer, but in all the layers that come before dhatu and therefore build dhatu, right? Because one layer nourishes the other, the other, the other. So that means that the root cause of root imbalance could be not in dhatu itself, but in mera, in your fat tissue, or in mamsa, your muscle tissue, or more likely, therefore, also in rakta and rasa, which is your red blood cells and lymph and plasma. Because as we know, our blood essentially is building all other tissues of the body because it's the first layer. Our nutrition, be that through food or otherwise, directly nourishes the blood, rasa dhatu, that directly nourishes all other layers of the body. So that's how it works in synergy and in consecutive. And what you feel occurring in the later layers definitely results in an imbalance in one of the preceding, or some or all of the preceding layers of the body. And this is kind of the system of anatomy we use in Ayurveda to really get clear on where in our body do imbalances strike, and where do they lead back to, and where do we find the root cause and therefore need to start treatment.